Good afternoon and welcome to Options Tender. It is Wednesday, 9/6/23. Welcome everybody. I wanted to update midday here because we're getting our drop, and I'm going to show you two sides of the coin. I'm completely bearish on this market, but I do want to give you what the other side, the alternate, would be to the upside if this bounce happens to develop. Okay, so if you're new here, go down to that bottom right hand corner, hit that Options Tender logo, and subscribe. All right, we have a lot of good stuff to show. We're going to show SPY on the daily time frame, 65-minute, and then go over to QQQ and do the same. We may check out VIX if we have a little bit of time, but this is not going to be a long video. This is really all about the intraday trade and where we're going to go next. All right, so if you love this information, please take the time out to like the video at minimum. And then if you really like this stuff, go down to that description down low and see other ways that you can help. All right, thank you very much. Let's go. We have SPY on the daily time frame. You see this consolidation zone right here. We pointed this out on the last video, the video yesterday. We pointed out that this is a consolidation zone, and if we break back down into that zone, that is our next move, and then this initial move should be confirmed. You have the consolidation zones here. You have this consolidation zone here. That's why this support resistance is so important on both ends of it. Okay, so I'm going to dig in here a little bit more. You see we came right to it. We're bouncing off. We have the 20 simple moving average as well right in this zone. So that's why we're getting our bounce here. We have the three black crows reversal signal right here. So this is a very bearish move. I don't think it's done yet. We'll see how far we bounce. If we get a bounce here, it's starting to develop. If we get a little bit more of a bounce here, maybe this is the initial move down and we get a nice bounce to the upside before heading lower. I think that this is going to be a little bit more shallow of a bounce before we continue down. And you'll see on the 65 what I'm talking about. But the main thing to look at is this area. We start breaking down underneath the 444 zone, underneath 444, and we have room to run. All right, because these trend lines are getting tired. This trend line's not gonna hold the same way again. So I'll extend this one just a little bit so we can see as we get under it. You'll see that's right in that zone as well. We start getting underneath that trend line as well, and we're heading lower and at minimum down to this 431 area here. So that's one way to look at it. We have the oscillators here. We're starting to curl over on the MACD. That's one thing that we were starting to talk about yesterday. We're starting to get that curl. Perhaps we cross with the end of this day here, or maybe another bearish day. But we haven't had the official cross yet. But that's where we're keeping our eye on. We're in the zero zone here, so it's still considered neutral on the daily time frame. We had our sell signal here with the RSI getting barely into oversold areas with the with negative divergence, just a slight divergence where we made a high in price on 831 right there. Is that 831 or 91? That was Friday, I believe, September 1st. We made that high and then a lower high on the RSI. So that's why we have our negative divergence and we were in the overbought territory. Now we have a signal. Finally, we talked about this yesterday. We have the signal. We have a sell signal on the Stochc RSI. So this runs a little bit faster than the slow Stochc. So we're going to put our little red dot here. We have an official sell signal on the Stochc RSI. We dropped past this 80 line here and we're headed south. Now we have an official sell signal on the slow Stochc. Same thing. Official sell signal on the slow stoke. So let's go ahead and put our little red dot there. We're getting a sell signal here, sell signal here. We have a sell signal here. This would complete our move to the downside with a crossover along with all these sells here. That would be pretty devastating for the market. And you better believe we'll get that sell signal if we move underneath this 4-4 area. So 444 area. I don't know if we're going to do that this week, depending on how this bounce works. We're underneath that 8 EMA. So that 8 EMA could provide a resistance to any bounces that start occurring, because that's our trend indicator. Our trend indicator is I would call it flat at this point. It is starting to run downward here and cross back over that 50 simple moving average, but it's just slightly. So that could cause price action to head lower from this point. Okay, let's move over to the QQQ. While we're on the daily time frame, kind of compare what's happening. QQQ is a little bit stronger, being rejected off of this pivot. This is a long-term pivot that I have here. We're rejecting from that. We have this downtrend line that we got back under. We had a fake break above it, and we're breaking back down. The 8 EMA, our trend indicator, is barely holding us up here. So you can see a little bit more strength in technology. We were talking about yesterday's video was, can big tech hold the market? We don't think so. The market is being pushed downward. And I think tech, when we see tech take over, right now the small caps are leading to the downside. When tech starts to take over and lose some of these levels, especially this 370 level, then you better believe it's going to take the lead on the move. And it's going to move much faster than the market or on IWM or small caps. Okay, so putting up the momentum indicators, same thing. We had the buy signal there, but we're in this neutral zone and we're curling over. Do we have that yet? No, we do not have that sell signal yet, but we have the same one right here on the RSI. We have a sell signal here. So I'll put that arrow. We got a higher high in price, but a lower high in the RSI. Very, very small, but it's there. We had the crossover here on the Stoke RSI. So you got that early sell signal on the Stoke RSI as well. So let's go ahead and put our red dot here. You got that crossover, the 80. Headed lower. We did not get the cross yet here, but we're looking on it. Today, if we move down any lower, or perhaps another down day tomorrow, we'll get that crossover on the slow stoke. If we don't have it, it's right there. It's right on it. So not officially a sell signal yet, but any lower in price, and I think we'll have that sell signal in place. So you have a sell, and then we're waiting on 2 more for confirmation here. Now, let's go down to the 65. We'll start off with QQQ since we're here. Change the board to the 65 minute. All right, you have the top of the wedge, fake break back down there, but you see this line I drew just a little bit different. You can trend lines, you can draw. I had it right at the top there. It doesn't matter. Even if I have it up here, it's a fake break. You come through. But then I lined it up with a lot more of the touches that we had here, and we came right underneath this this bounce zone here. So price is now bouncing. Again, it's kind of a large bounce here. We're oversold this bounce. Let's see how far it goes. Can we get past this 376 area? We are hedged on our calls. When we saw this price action happening, we hedged our positions to the downside. We still have our longer date swings to the downside available. But notice that this is a 3-wave move. That's very important when you're looking at like the Elliott wave, for example. We'll go over to this Elliott wave. You have this 3-wave move. Okay, depending on how far this wave move goes, meaning this is 3 waves. That's corrective at this point. So the bulls are salivating, say, okay, we're getting a new high. We're going to go close that gap up here. That's possible. But what I'm thinking, if we get a deeper retracement, we're going to be watching the retracement from this point, that 379, from the bottom. And we're going to see how far it retraces. Okay, if it starts retracing deeper, then we're going to label this as a 1-2, 1-2 setup, and we continue lower. If it doesn't even, if it's just a meager bounce, if it doesn't get much past here, if we just bounce just a little bit, then we can continue counting this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we start to come down into these levels that I was talking about yesterday, these 50% retracement, and see if we can get just a little bit lower into this. There's a pretty good support around this area. Okay, so again, if you're a bull, this is A, B, C, and you're going higher. If you're a bear, you can count this in two ways. This is going to end up, depending on this bounce, this is going to end up as a 1-2, 1-2, which just means it's just a lot more bearish. Or we're going to continue our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll probably get a bounce after that, and then continue lower. Okay, so we're looking for a 5-wave move, and then a bounce, and then much lower. Or we're looking for 1, 2, 1, 2. We get above this 379, and that's there's no doubt that's just bullish. Okay, because we have our 3-wave move down. That would be invalidate the bearish move, and then we move up for one more leg. Let's go over to, well, let's put on the indicators here. So we had our bearish cross. We're headed to the downside, and you see we're getting our bounce right at the 0 zone. That's perfectly normal. We had our RSI right here. We had our sell signal. We had our bearish divergence. And then we headed into oversold area, so that's why we're getting a bounce. No divergence yet to the upside, so I just don't see this bounce going very far. I think that we continue lower from here with just a small bounce. You see price actions trying to bounce back up here right to the 20 line. In my opinion, it's going to oscillate lower. It's going to oscillate back and forth underneath this 20. But when we get this 20 cross over, then it's time for a bigger bounce. Perhaps. Again, we're in this negative oversold territory, so we're starting to bounce just a little bit. But we'll have to see if we get some sort of bigger bounce, maybe after one more leg down. If we count 5 waves down, then we can get a bigger bounce before heading much lower. Okay, on the SPY. Whoops, sorry about that. Let's go SPY. Okay, SPY. Again, let's change this board. Let's give you the 65-minute board here. I know there's a lot more stuff going on. This was the perfect downtrend line where we bounced off of, and also this support. That support was here after being resistance before. I didn't change this. I didn't add this on right before the video. So that's our support area coinciding with that downtrend line. That's why we're getting the bounce. Notice a little bit more bearish. We have this 1, 2, 3 wave move where we're naturally getting a bounce, but we could go lower, and it looks like we're kind of rejecting at this point. We'll see what happens, but we go lower for that 5th wave. That would bring us right to the gap. This wave 3 is already bigger than wave 1, so this wave 5 can be anything. It can be a short move that's equal to wave 1. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get a 5th wave, it could be even and bring us to the gap area. This 5th wave can be longer than wave 3. Because wave 3, the only rule that it can't be the shortest, and wave 1's already shorter. So this last wave could take us as far as it wants to. All right. If this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wave move, then it can take as low as it wants to and keep going before we get any sort of bounce. So don't be surprised. Just when you make some sort of profit, hedge, take profit. If you're a bull, you're looking at this. It's going to have to break this downtrend line. You're looking at this as a 3-wave move, and you're looking for higher prices because this is a 3-wave corrective move at this point. If we get one more leg down, then it's a 5-wave impulsive move. So you have to look at the structure as it gets into these different zones. Remember, this is the top of the zone. We break underneath this 444 area. Remember what we had. You have this whole big zone that it could keep going before a bounce. This is the middle of the zone, so you have a nice support here with a gap support as well. So I would definitely take profit here. You have this rising pivot that I don't think is going to hold. But you have this mid-range. Typically in a range, there's always this mid-level that could give us either a bounce or that could hold this move. But just remember, this whole range is valid. Once we get underneath this 444, this is game. This is fair game to head all the way down to the bottom of the range at 435. All right. And then that would present a problem to us too, because we're underneath support. We're underneath the pivot. Then the bulls have a lot of work to do. But for now, we have a downtrend here in the 65-minute. We have to break above that downtrend in order for the bulls to even think about getting new highs. All right, so let's put on our indicators. Bearish cross, sell signal. We're getting oversold, so you see the bounce. That's why we're getting a bounce. But no divergence, no buy signals there yet. No real cross. It looks like it wants to. No real cross yet. So we don't have any buy signals yet. We just have an oversold bounce. Okay. Now let's take one last look at our L8 wave. Maybe a quick look at the VIX. I did think we were going to get into this 443 area. This looks like a really good area to have a bounce off of. I thought we were going to get there, but we covered early after we saw that we were in the downtrend and also that support area. But this is still the 50% retracement from top to bottom of this move. And so this might be the 1, 2, 3. We're in wave 4 now, and wave 5 might just be real short and take us right into that 50%. We'll see what kind of price action happens from this point. It could be just a short wave 5. But if it continues to break underneath this 443, you're looking at the 440. You're underneath that 444 zone. You got all this stuff happening. Remember that 444 is a big zone. So if we don't spike off of this 443 and get back above 444 when we get down here, if we get down here, then we're heading much lower. The wave 5 is going to be extended. It's going to be longer. We're going to be looking at 440. We're going to be looking at just underneath 440, 439. We're going to be looking at all sorts of zone. It can go all the way down to this 435. Okay? So especially if there's a catalyst. I don't think we have any catalyst tomorrow, but again, this is a 3-wave move here. So bulls are looking higher. I think we have our top in, and then we're looking for an impulse wave. Same thing applies here. You know, you have your 1, 2 with a really small bounce here, which means that we're bearish. It's a bearish move. But if this move here gets a deeper retracement, maybe to test the gap here, then I'm going to count this as a 1, 2, 1, 2. And then we go much lower, much faster in the wave 3 series. All right, but I don't think that's the case. I think we're going to get a wave 4 here. It could be a flat. It could be a triangle. I think it's going to be something sideways. Take up some time into tomorrow. And then we'll have to see how impressive this wave 5 will be if we just tap this and then pull back above 444, or if we just continue to downside, and then we'd be looking for some sort of bounce. After we get a 5-wave move, if we recognize a 5-wave move to the downside, we want to don't jump in too early, you can start hedging, but we'll be looking for a wave 2 bounce. And then that would bring us to a lower degree wave 2. We have our impulsive wave 1 here. We think we finished our wave 2 in the white, and then we'll be looking for another 1, 2. And if you notice this triangulating, that's what happens when we're getting into this, we're neutralizing. We're getting these 1, 2s, 1, 2s into a triangle, and we break down from the triangle and start really pushing wave 3s headed down. So that's what we're looking for in the next couple days into next week. That's it. I don't want to hold you up any longer. The VIX, just really quick, the VIX is just it's showing some strength. Okay, so I'm not going to analyze all this. I just want to show you it's at resistance here. It's showing some strength though. We're bouncing off here. If we get some sort of pullback or just extend a little bit more, the real resistance that I'm looking at is this one right here. So we're not quite there yet. If we get our 5-wave move here in the market, then we're going to come into this resistance, and we'll be looking for a pullback, possibly to try to test the gap or so, and then much higher. All right, thanks for joining us here, Option Center. Please consider helping us out. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon.